and start working this moment. And they are not perfect. I have Japanese beetle eating my dahlias, which is annoying, but you don't really see that, so that's okay. So 1, 2, maybe another one here to create a cluster. And here I'm not going anymore into the frog. It's not necessary. I can support them in the chicken wire. So the frog was only to support the big branches. And then one more back here. And all the way to the back. If you need to make a count of how many stems you need for a large scale, I think you would be impressed. You really need a lot of flowers. You could add more foliage, and sometimes I get people asking me if I would do this one for less money and and more foliage. But for me, foliage is quite precious too, because it's not so easy to find these branches everywhere. So I always say no, you have to pay the same with more foliage for the same amount of flowers. One more here inside these roses. So I'm going to come in here. Okay, and 2 more. I need to cut her shorter. And this one over here. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, so I want you to see the line of color again from one side of my arrangement to the other side of my arrangement. And now I'm gonna add these ones, but these ones will go quite high. I'm terrible with names. I would love to tell you what's the name of this dahlia, but I can't remember. So these ones are so precious, and I only have 3, that what I will do is I will place them quite front in my arrangement. So have a look at these ones. I think that's going to be quite nice. So the first one's going to be here, maybe somewhere lower. And then again, I don't want to lose my blueberries. And then the second one's going to go somewhere here, higher than the other one. So I'm going to try to find the right spot for her. That looks weird. Hold on. Yeah, that's more beautiful. Maybe I have to move this one a little bit more to the camera so that you can see what we're doing here. And I'm gonna add one more here. So I'm looking at my arrangement, and as much as I like the color palette that these dahlias create here, I'm not 100% sure, so I'm gonna try a different approach. So I'm gonna take them out for now, and I'll try something different. So I think I'm gonna go for some spray roses. So I'm gonna try these ones. And let me see how it looks. When you're making an arrangement like this for an event, You don't have a lot of time for those considerations, but you have to just be sure of yourself. Be sure of the flowers that you brought, be confident about your shape, your material. And sometimes we notice as a florist, not everybody notices them. So don't be so picky because you are working, with a clock. So sometimes you just have to be more. It's better to deliver on time than just trying to fuss about things. But for me, it's really difficult because I'm a perfectionist. So sometimes I'm trying to struggle with both things. So I'm gonna add this one, trying to follow this line. And I really like these little dots. So I'm gonna try to show them. And I think that's pretty. One thing that is very important is that you don't make your arrangement look separated from the container. So working the neck of your arrangement is really important. So by adding something here, it will feel more like if it's, it's part of the container. So sometimes I see urns from the distance and you have the urn and then the arrangement, but you want it to feel like a whole thing together. So I'm gonna add some of these lisianthus. They're absolutely beautiful, and I'm gonna place them here, quite low, spilling from here. So let me find, I'm gonna start by adding this one. And I'm gonna go quite low inside here. And I'm gonna place a line of these lisies in here. I'm gonna add, this one is great, but this is too yellow. So I'm gonna take this one out because the tone is a little bit clashing with the rest. And I'm gonna add another one here. And I will keep working on this side. So let me add 2 more. I can go quite short because they are touching the water. So I'm not so worried about that. But always make sure that they are drinking. You can also use water tubes when you're making this type of arrangements. So if I had stems that are quite short and I want to go quite high with my flowers, you can buy water picks and you can buy the ones that have the really long stick coming out. So then you could have a flower coming all the way up here, and it doesn't have to be the stem, but you can use the stick for that. So I'm gonna keep adding more of these lisianthus. Remember what we talked about in centerpieces. Lisianthus are very flexible. They don't really mind if you bend the petals. They are okay with it. So I'm gonna grab these ones and I'm gonna place them here, following this line all the way to here. So I'm gonna come and open myself a little space in here. And that's fine. Okay. These are the last sweet peas of the season here in the garden. And why I love sweet peas is because they make this a little bit even more delicate and fragile. So I'm going to show you how pretty it is to add one of these ones in here and how this color pops with this one. So I'm just going to get rid of this one and I'm going to add this one somewhere here. The same principle as centerpieces. Now you want to add movement. Now you want to add flowers that have graceful, delicate stem so that they look more romantic, more effortless. I'm gonna add a few of those. And I'm gonna create a line of these ones, maybe coming up here. And one more. Can I get rid of this? She's quite sad, she's okay. And I'm gonna go inside here. Okay, and again, I have a line of color there. Ranunculus, butterfly ranunculus, are these amazing flowers that bloom a little bit longer in the season than traditional ranunculus. They are more resilient with hot weathers, so you can find them in the market even at this time of the year. The same doesn't happen with traditional ranunculus, especially here because it's quite hot. But these ones are from a local grower, and he still has them. And I think these are one of the most amazing flowers you can buy. They really last maybe 2 weeks or more in water, and they have these graceful, almost like velvety petals that are really great. So I'm gonna add some of these butterflies to make this one softer, and I'm gonna place this one maybe somewhere here. I'm gonna move this one a little bit so they feel that each one deserves their own space to breathe. That's nice. And then I'm gonna add another one. So I'm gonna try to create a line of these ones all the way from here to here. But first I'm gonna go and try to add this one here. And I want you to see something. They are in the same level, and you should never do that. You always want to create movement. So they have to have their own layer. So I'm gonna place this one again, or try to find another one that is a little bit more straight. So I'm gonna add this one because it's a little bit more straight, and the other one was bending too much. And I'm gonna try to place it here somewhere. Maybe here, maybe try to find the right spot for it. Yeah, somewhere there. That's fine. And then I feel like I need a little bit of drama here, something that will draw the eye from the people that is looking at this, somewhere from here to here. So I'm gonna add another piece of geranium, and I'm gonna place this one maybe somewhere here, quite high. The nice thing by this stage is that things are moving less because I have a lot of flowers inside. So it's not so difficult to place them anymore. Actually, I need to find the right spot for it. I think it's gonna be there. Yeah. So I like this movement. And I want you to see something. It's always nice to really go low and then come up again. So you don't want the shape of your arrangement to look round. You want it to have this wavy movement, and the deeper of your flower should be making this curve quite dramatic. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of these phlox. And look at the size of the stem of this phlox. It's pretty amazing. That makes me really happy because it's grown here. And a lot of the florists always ask me, how do I make them so tall? And I just think we pinch them a lot. So I'm gonna add this one, and phlox is just incredible because they make everything soft. but I don't want to place it in an area where I don't really see it. So let me find the right spot for it. Some of that's fine there. And it really makes me happy, this curve. So I want to come here and add something there. But let me see if I can place it a little bit more deep so that I can see it. That's fine. And I really want you to see how pretty is this moment, okay? You're coming from here quite low, creating waves of movement, and then having these together. So maybe another piece of flux or two. The curves of these ones are incredible. So I'm just gonna come here. This is the perfect example of maybe needing a little bit more height in a stem. So then you would add a water tube and then you will place it maybe even up the way to here. I don't have one here and I'm not gonna do it, but I'm showing you what you could do if you wanted this one so high. So I'm just gonna place it just like something like this in the water to make sure that she doesn't die, that she's drinking. But if this was for an event, I would definitely make sure that she has a water pick and that she was drinking for a longer time. What I'm looking with these flocks is to have these delicate moments through my arrangement. And I'm gonna add one more. I think I need to lift this one up a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can find support on this sweet pea. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm gonna add this one here. So I'm gonna come here. And place that one there so that I have this line of flux coming all the way from here to the back. Okay, so I need the same way as we were doing yesterday to start covering my mechanics. And that's also a way of securing my flowers even better. So I'm gonna add some of this yarrow. And that way I can cover here, I can cover here, I can cover here. So I'm gonna come and place this one here. I'm gonna add more. Especially here. So I'm gonna lift these ones and place these yarrows somewhere here, quite low. I just want the color coming out there. A short piece here. And one more in here. Another piece of yarrow. And I'm gonna place this one just in here, a little bit. Somewhere here, that's nice. And I think I'm gonna keep up with the flocks because it looks pretty amazing and it makes this so delicate. So let me see what I have here. So this one is perfect. And when you have a stick like this one, you know, a branch that is not so soft, it's really nice to cover it with something that is softer. So I'm gonna place this one here. And I will keep adding more of these, and maybe this one should go somewhere here. And this one is perfect. It's so high, you know. It's a very tall stem, which is really good. And I'm gonna go all the way to the back. Somewhere here. Okay. So I'm gonna use these 2 more pieces just because they're really beautiful and they look absolutely great. I think I can add 1 more here, quite deep. And the last one, I think it's gonna go maybe there. Let me see. I'll try different places for this last one. And I think that works really nice. When I stepped back, I changed my mind. That happens a lot when you're doing a large scale that is so big, or when you're doing an installation. Sometimes you are too close, and it's really important to step back so that you can see what you're doing, especially in arches or in installations. There are 2 ways to do this. Or you have someone that is telling you, especially if this urn was really high in a church or something. Maybe you are in a ladder and then you need someone to tell you, maybe you need something here, something there, but you really need to step back in order to see what you're doing. Binds are incredibly important when you're doing a large scale. So I have here this beautiful covea, this cup and saucer bind, which is, this is covea bells, cup and saucer vine, and this is native to Mexico. It's just amazing. It grows wild here, and it's taking over the garden. It's a little bit crazy, but it's just amazing how it makes all my arrangements look so soft. And I'm gonna place this one somewhere here that I can really make this line grow beautifully. So this one moved, okay? So I'm just gonna place this one here. Come up here, just. That's nice. And I like this line. So I really need to make the accent of this line go all the way here. What happens if I was designing this for a photography or for a photo shoot? This darker foliage, these darker flowers here would be a problem. And people will not be able to notice them as flowers, but it will look like a hole. So you need to lighten up that moment, or you need to lift them up. So what I'm going to do is add a few more, just higher, so that it doesn't go so deep there and it can get confused as a whole. So I'm just gonna add one more here to lift this moment up. And the other thing that I can do is just add something on top of them. So maybe if I add some pieces of this one, it will go inside, it will go deep, but it's not the same as just having the black block of, the deep burgundy block of flowers there. So I am actually going to take this one out, and I'm gonna show you with these ones what I mean. It will be the same if you're doing a centerpiece and suddenly you're doing deep burgundies. Try to see how it looks on photography, and if it looks too dark, if it looks like a hole, just lighten that moment with another flower on top. And that will be nice for photo. So something like this is just perfect. So it's gonna lighten this moment here a little bit, and it doesn't look like a hole anymore. And I'm gonna add one more on the back here, so it doesn't look too deep inside there, and that's it. And I'm going to arrange this one here. Okay, that's better. So what happens if this one was going to be on a round table? You couldn't ignore the back. So what you would do is add the same flowers on the back, and I'm gonna do that in a second, trying to create the same thing that you did here on the back. And it's gonna be easier because you already have a lot of support, so you can go quite fast on the back. And I think to make this absolutely beautiful, I need one last touch of something here, you know, so this line goes really dramatic all the way here. I'm not so sure what it's gonna be. I have to be honest. I have to think about it. Maybe I need another piece of geranium. Maybe I need a piece of phlox. Maybe I need something, but I'm sure that I need something here to make this line very dramatic. And I could add, I'm gonna see how it will look if I add some zinnias, just because I really like the texture and I think they are really nice. So let me see what would happen if I add something like this. I think some of them could work. I'm gonna try to find maybe a very tall one that makes that moment for me, even if it's not exactly the right color. I could go to the garden and find exactly the right one, but I think this one works. So I'm gonna cut here, just here, and clean them a little bit. And I'm gonna try different things, so be patient. Not so sure. That's better, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm gonna take it out. So when you're trying to take something out of your base, don't fight with it, just twist it, you know? Sometimes you just need to twist it and then it will come out. Maybe what I need is another piece of blueberry with beautiful berries. Let me see if I find one. I think I could try this one as well. So I'm gonna clean this one, make it a little bit softer, a little bit more airy and lighter. So it's like going to the hairdresser and asking them to take some volume out of your hair. It's the same thing. It looks better. My clippers are terrible now. So I'm gonna take this one out. I'm gonna take, yeah, I think that's nice. So maybe I need something like this here. I'm trying before I place it. I think that's better, and I really like this moment here. The ideal scenario would be if I had another geranium coming up here, but I don't have one. So sometimes you just have to deal with that. So I'm just gonna go around and add some flowers on the back to show you what it will be if this was a round arrangement, and then some little details here and there, and we are done. I think I could add some of this here. I think the texture is really beautiful. And these are just some of the last details. Have to find the right spot for it. And one quite tall, maybe here, or two. So I'm gonna try to place this one somewhere here because I have a little hole here, so I think it will look pretty if I add something like this here. Yeah, I think that's perfect. That's really pretty. Pretty much I'm gonna be done. I think I want to add maybe 1 or 2 pieces there. The back already has the roses that it needs to be complete. And maybe 1 piece of phlox or 2, and that's it. So I went to the garden and I found what I was looking for. These beautiful digitalis that allowed me to finish my large-scale arrangement. I also added this little piece of phlox. I found it on my walk and I couldn't help myself. And a piece of cup and saucer vine. So remember, what you need for a large scale is always really good curvy branches, a nice flower with the bold color that will make that moment like wow, beautiful soft flowers, never forget your fillers, and beautiful vines to create this sense of movement coming down. So, and a good container is always good to have. So I thank you very much for watching this class. I hope you liked it, and I look forward to see you in my next class.